Hello, everybody. It's Wyatt again. I know it's been a while, but I just wanted to, kind of give a recap of my Ironman Waco 70.3. It was an incredible experience, and there was a lot to break down. I've been processing a lot of things, and I just wanted to share a recap of it. Before we do any recap, I want to make sure first thing is first. I want to give a shout out to three absolutely men I look up to, absolutely best friends. They really came in clutch for me. They, took special. Some of them took PTO to come down and hang out for the week and help me and help me chase my dreams. And speaks volumes of these men. And I'm so honored. There's not enough words I could say that would do justice of, Brennan, Joe, and Tyler. Man, I thank y'all so much. It really, truly means the world to me. Y'all chased me around for a whole weekend. I hope y'all had fun. I know I had fun, spending time with y'all, just enjoying life. And truly, truly, thank you. Thank you. This would have not been as successful or as fun, this race, if it wasn't for y'all, and I truly appreciate it, and I have something special coming for y'all here soon. Now, with that said, let's dive into the race. So it was, normally these races start about 7 or 7:30, but since there was a race before, it's the day before, so they did the full 140.6 full distance Ironman the day before. So they moved back the swim to 12:30. So didn't really know what to expect. It's been 6 months training for this. Didn't know the right questions to ask. So was looking forward to it. I was a little nervous about the swim. I've done a few open water swims. At this point, I was all around 102. Around 102, an hour and 2 minutes. So the time was an hour and 10 minutes. That's how long we had to do the swim. So I was a little nervous about getting it in, if I would be able to finish or whatnot. So the swim, it's 1.2 miles. And they made us walk 1.2 miles out before we hopped into the water. So we walked down there, and first thing is first, they, were supposed to give us little bags so we could put our clothes in, so we didn't have to, didn't have to do, leave anything or whatnot. So I walked down there, had my wetsuit in hand, had a shirt on. It was 73.3 degrees, so wetsuit legal. So excited about that. When I got down there, I realized I didn't have a bag. They were supposed to give me a bag that I could put my clothes in, that at the finish line they would give me, give back to me. Well, didn't have that bag, so I had to leave my shoes and my shirt there for them to throw away. So that sucked. But that's okay, that's fine, and it happens, no big deal. It wasn't the end of the world. Had these shoes for about a year now. Got well worn, probably need new shoes. Anyway, so it works out. So the race is supposed to start at 12:30. About 12:15, about 12:10, 12:15, we start getting in line. So they break us up in lines by how fast we're going to finish. So I was, in the hour group, so very last. There's about 5 people in the hour group. So I was like, we're probably the only honest people here, because there's quite a few people who finished after me on the swim. And I am no good swimmer. I started swimming about 5 months ago, and I could barely swim 25 yards. So I'm going to work on swim lessons and whatnot, but all right, so we get through the race, we get to, the corral. So how the race is set up is every 5 seconds, a group of 4 people will start the swim. So you think about it, there's 1,700 people in this race. I'm one of the last people in line. So, it is almost, I didn't hop into the water until 41 minutes after the race started is when I hopped into the water. And right before I hopped into the water, I think somebody was ended up having like a hypothermic shock or whatnot, and they had to pull him out of the water. So I'm literally about to jump into the water, and they stop me. They grab me, and they're like, hold up. So, mental psyche is like, this freaks you out. Like, terrified. So, finally, my time comes. They let me go. I hop in the water, and once I hop into the water, I was like, this is it. The race has started. This is what I trained for. This is the moment, a little buoyant due to the wetsuit. And I'm like, let's go. And I just take off. First off, you swim out and then go right. Well, I took the most lackadaisical right turn you have ever seen. Not efficient at all. Something next time I swim, I'm definitely going to take a better turn than I did. So hop out, and I am cruising. It's the fastest 500 yard swim I have ever done in my life. Like, I am literally on cloud 9. So hot, so hyped about it. Just cruising. Well, then I get about halfway done, and I am just grinding through the swim. Like, I do the first 500 yards about 11 minutes. Fastest I've ever done. I thought I was going to break 50-minute mark. I was excited about it. Nope. I just fell off a cliff, and the form, technique, I had a little form, a little technique, all of it went out. Like, the full mode, it was awful. Like, I'm literally thinking, why, this is the worst swim technique you have ever had in your life. And you've had some bad swim technique, but this is really bad. And so I'm thinking, what is going on? How, do I need to finish? Like, all these doubts started flushing in my head. Like, should I stop? There's 8 hours of this left to go. Like, that's a long time to think. Like, oh my goodness, this is so long. So I was like, I need to break this down. So I said, hey, I can finish this. I looked ahead and saw how many buoys left. Each buoy was 100 meters. And I said, okay, if it takes me 3 minutes max on a very slow day to do the buoy, I can finish the time. And I was like, oh, I can definitely do it each one in 2.5 for sure. And so that's what just kept me grounded. I said, I can push this through. So I just all focused. And you're going to see throughout this, the race is my strategy was just get to the next buoy, get to the next buoy, get to the next buoy. And then next thing I know, I was done. Fine. I finished the race. I finished the swim in about 1 hour, 3 minutes. Not my fastest time in the world, but, kind of what I expected my swim time to be. I was, looking for high 50s, low hour mark. So I was able to get out of the water. And right when I got out of the water, I could not walk in a straight line. Like, I was so delirious. Like, it was bad. They pulled me aside, and they did, like, a little test on me. They're like, are you okay? Like, are you going to be able to finish? Or are you going to be able to go? Now, hindsight, probably not. The heart rate was very high. I was definitely delirious. I could barely speak any words. And I just, in my best answer, I was like, yeah, I can push through. So they're like, hey, just walk. So that's what I did. So I walked through the transition. The boys were right there, so I'm super excited to see them tell me, cheer me on, but I was absolutely miserable. So I finally got to my bike to the transition and start putting everything on. And at this point, I haven't eaten anything. So I had a candy bar strategically placed so I could snack, so I could have enough energy to go to the next spot. Well, the candy bar, I didn't think this through, melted. And you just talk about depressing defeat right there. I was distraught. Like, it absolutely destroyed me that my candy bar is melted. So it was all melted. So what I did is I just grabbed it and I licked as much as I could. I said I need some energy. It's not the best thing in the world, but hey, I licked it, hopped on the bike, and started pedaling. Now at this point, my heart rate was incredibly high. So it was about higher than what I normally ride at. So normally try to ride at 145, 155, but I was in like the high 170s. So that was a little concerning. And so I tried to bring it down. It just did not come down. Did not come down at all. So I had to change my strategy because, well, first off, I thought that the first aid station was going to be at 8 miles. And so I said, okay, I'll just push to 8 miles. Well, when I got to 8 miles, I was very distraught to find out that it was not 8 miles. It was at mile 13. And mile 12, I literally thought I was just about to fall over. And, at that point, it's almost been 2 hours, almost 3 hours before I had any food in my system. So, I am running on reserves. I had to wear a wetsuit for an hour essentially, so sweated. I have some of the noon preset, and I'm just chugging noon, just hoping and praying that I stay hydrated so I get to the next aid station. And then when I get to the next aid station, I have a feast. I'm eating bananas. I have about 2 bananas. I have about a few fig bars. I'm grabbing fig bars unopened, just stuffing them in my back pocket, and we are rolling. And so finally filled up, had the Gatorade, had the water. I was so excited. It was just once I had the energy in me, I was a new man. Started pedaling, the heart rate finally dropped, and we were rolling. After that point, I was cruising. The bike, bike was a bike. It really wasn't, didn't have any complaints about it. It wasn't the hardest thing in the world. At one point, I was going 45 miles an hour down a hill. That was absolutely terrifying, but it was a lot of fun. Probably the funniest part of this whole thing is when I was riding by some of my friends at mile 20, did not see them, surprised me. My heart rate dropped up to 190, and I was like, oh, is this how I'm gonna go out? Seeing my friends' faces? Probably funnier thing in the whole race. And so, we finally, during the race, due south was the worst direction I have ever experienced in my life. It was just straight wind. There was one point where you could see about 100 people in a line, and we were all going about 8 to 10 miles an hour. It was just absolutely brutal. I know now there's a lot of things that I wish I would have done on the bike, especially I wish I would have aero bars. That's the triathlon, bars that sit on the front end of the bike. I wish I had those. Those would have greatly helped me. I wish I would have had a better snack, maybe a fig bar or something after coming out of the swim. Wish I would have had that. That would have greatly improved my morale and greatly improved, me being able to pedal through. So then, about mile 47 on the bike, that's when the cramps started. And it was a world of hurt. Now, the cramps on the bike, they weren't like that bad. It was, the side and the back, and it was just more discomforting. Luckily, it wasn't the legs or anything, so I was able to just pedal through, power through it. But a lot of it was just demoralizing because you're cramping and you're also going south and you're barely moving and you're pedaling as hard as I can. And I'm in a low gear, just cranking it out. It was just absolutely brutal. So finally got through the bike, and I will be honest, I did not want to run. Like, I did not want to do the run whatsoever. That was miserable. Yeah, I didn't want to run whatsoever. Like, I was distraught. I realized, like, I'm about to have to do a half marathon run, 13.1 miles to finish this thing out. And, up to this point, I didn't really have any thoughts about the race. Like, for whatever reason, didn't really think about anything on the ride. On the swim, it was only negative thoughts until I broke it down. So, at this point, for whatever reason, that's when it was like, oh. So I start the run, and the first mile is just getting your legs used to it. So I intentionally went in and said, hey, I'm gonna go really slow this first mile. Like, I did a sprint triathlon distance earlier, and when I got to the 5K run, it was just absolutely brutal. So I said, hey, I'm going to take this first mile slow, and we're going to regroup from there. So got to the first mile, didn't go that fast. Got to the second mile, wasn't that fast either. And then we had to go up a hill. Now, Waco is flat. But for whatever reason, they were able to find the one freaking hill in Waco. And it was brutal. So there was one thing to think about why we started this hill and whatnot. There's a few time cutoffs. So there's a time cutoff for when you start the second lap. You have to start a second lap about a certain time, or they'll cut you off. And you have 8 hours and 30 minutes to complete the race. So I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Or well, there's a lot of people thinking, not just me. There's a lot of people thinking out loud, oh my goodness, are we going to make the first time cutoff? And man, up to that point, the race is super encouraging. But that whole run, toxic as heck. There's so much mental games, right? People's attitudes are wearing off. Like, people are crying. People are, in pain, hurting. And it was so easy, especially when you're just that tired. And like, I didn't want to do the run. Like, I just straight up did not want to do the run whatsoever. And you're absolutely terrified of, like, oh, I could slow down. You're playing with there's games. You're playing the games with your head. It's like, oh, I could slow down and, I could get a DNF and not finish. And not have to do the second half of the run. Like, those thoughts come through your head. And it's absolutely terrifying. Like, it was like, oh. And you're like, oh, it's about to be pitch black. It's about to be dark. And, like, whoa. Why do you want to do this? The crazy thing of, like, I be honest, I didn't prepare well enough for the run. Like, next thing I do in a race is I'm about to run and figure out how to be a runner. One time a week is not going to cut it. That's what I found out severely. So finally, get up this hill and finally start going downhill. And once you get it downhill, it's like, okay, we can start pushing this through. We can start get it. So the mileage, the time started getting, not where I wanted it, but a lot closer. I wanted it to be like 11, averaging about 11 to 12, but I was pushing probably about 13, average 13-ish. And so we kept pushing, and we kept moving through. I decided to, we just pushed through, and it was just so demoralizing. Like, I did not want to be there, right? At this point, did not want to do the run. But I just kept, for whatever reason, just kept moving. And then finally got to the second lap, and I made the first time cutoff. And there's just a big relief that came off my shoulders. I was like, okay, like, we're on the second lap. At this point, it's dark, and as I start the second lap, the worst cramp I have ever experienced in my whole life happened on my body. Both calves, left and right, both quads, left and right, and my left hamstring, all at once, decided to cramp up. And I fall down in agonizing pain. And it was so, it was knocked just any enthusiasm I had for just starting the second lap died. And it really sucked. Like, that was just going through mental, like, what was going through my head. I was like, am I just, like, about to get here and not finish? Like, because I tried to get up, and medical staff came, ran around me, and, they were like, it was bad. Like, I was on the ground, I'm, trying to get up, I'm in so much pain. And, the medical staff, thank God for those medics. Those are, they're spending their time out here, making sure that everything is okay. And, they come out and, it's probably not good that you finish. Like, you probably should need to stop. Because I was not moving at all. Like, I tried getting up, and it just cramped worse and worse and worse. And while I'm sitting down, I think, if I stop here, the boys are going to give me so much crap. And I was like, but if I don't finish, but I at least try, and if I don't finish in the time, but at least try, like, I'll feel more satisfied about that than not being able to stop, right? Not be able to go. So I hopped up in excruciating pain. I said, Wyatt, just take one step. Just take one freaking step. It doesn't matter about finishing. Doesn't matter about finishing on time. It doesn't matter about how much pain you are in. Just be the best at taking that one step. That's what I did. I started taking one steps, and then some of the cramps went away. The cramp in my right calf never went away. That sucked, but kept going, and we kept going. And I, then once I got a pro at getting to the next step, I was like, okay, then let's get to the next light pole. Let's get to the next sign. Let's get to that. And I wanted to be the best in the world at getting to the next sign. So that's what happened. Kept getting to the next sign. Kept getting to the next sign. And then got to more signs. And I was like, okay. Like, there's still pain. There's still a lot of pain. Still cramping. Some areas. I mean, I was downing Gatorade, downing, whatever I could. Bananas. I think I had like 15 or 18 bananas during the whole race. Love bananas. So, sucked. But I was like, okay, I got this. And then I was like, kept moving. It wasn't fast. It wasn't quick. It wasn't my best. It wasn't, definitely going to run more. Because that was a poor performance. The effort was there. The performance was awful. And so then I got to mile 9, right before the uphill battle. And I said, if I can get it through this hill in one piece, I'm going to make it. And I gotta say, there's one spectator. I gotta give props to him. Now, I was mad, distraught, tired. But there's one person who's kind of like, so the hill went up, and then you went around, and then you went up another more worse hill. So at the top of the first hill, and I walked these. There's no way I was running them. But when I got to the first hill, and there was this girl cheering, and she was like, I never want to see your face again. I was like, I don't want to see your face again either. And for whatever reason, I don't know what happened, but I just lit a fire. I said, I'm going to finish this thing. And so I kept pushing, and we pushed. And you know what? I was one of the only people who had a headlamp, too. There wasn't a lot of people with headlamps. It was pitch black, running up a hill, and we just were rolling. And finally, once we started going down the hill and past the 10-mile mark, I said, it's a 5K now. I said, we can break this down. And so we pushed, and it was not pretty. And we get to mile 12, and I'm moving. I think mile 12 took me about 24 minutes. And the thing is I didn't stop any of these times. Like, with how slow I was moving, like, there wasn't stopping. I was just moving slow. And, like, I watched a bit, but not as much as you thought. I just kept moving. It really hurt to stop, so I didn't stop. And so the worst part about the last mile is we had to cross a bridge, go underneath the bridge, pop back on top of the bridge, cross the bridge again, run a little bit, and go to the next bridge. And then to the finish line. And that was the most demeaning and just depressing part of the whole. Yeah, not depressing. The hill is depressing, but just so brutal. And because you're so close. Because you pass right by the finish line without crossing the finish line. And so we did. I finally got up it, and we finally finished. They put this bad boy on me. They give me this hat, Ironman Waco hat, Ironman Waco 70.3 hat, and we did. We finished. And it's just wild, right? Like, there was moments I didn't even think I was going to finish in time. It's so much of a mind game. Like, your body's telling you one thing, but you gotta believe that you can do it. Like, there's so many wild things happen in this world. Like, there's so much negativity. There's so much things we can't control. But so many things we can't control, but we can control our mind. And we can be the best at taking the next step. And we can be the best at running to the next light pole. And so if you watch this far to the video, I want to challenge you. Be the best at running to the next light pole. Because it's so worth it. Because you know what? Because once you get to that light pole, that's what was happening. I said, I need to create a dopamine kick in my mind. And so every time I crossed the next step or the next thing I did, the next light pole, I had a dopamine kick. And I was like, man, that feels good. So what's the next thing I can point out? And I just kept pointing. I kept pointing. And then next thing I know, I finished the race. And you know what? Seeing my friends at the finish line, one of the best moments of my life. Like, I'm so appreciative that they came this weekend. Like, I am so thankful for that. Really blows my mind. Like, they were able to, get my bike. So after the race, like, we didn't have to worry about that stuff. And, truly means the world to me. There's nothing I'll be able to do to repay them for that. And, man, it was just humbling. I saw this quote that someone said that the finish line is for the ego, but the journey is for the soul. And my soul is so fulfilled right now. Now, the ego, definitely fulfilled too. Not as much as I didn't go sub 7, so that's disappointing. I think I did like 8:10 or whatnot. But my soul is so fulfilled. And with that said, I'm going to make an announcement right now. Tentatively, Ironman Des Moines, Iowa, June 12th. Put it on the books because I'm about to kick his ass. And we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. So, June 12th, Ironman Des Moines, Iowa. Let's go. Thanks for watching. Wyatt out.